The underestimated threat. The observation deck of the Galactic Consortium's flagship Dominion offered the most impressive view in the known universe. Admiral Zorax stood with his 4 arms clasped behind his back, his scaled skin reflecting the starlight as he gazed at the blue-green planet hanging in the void before him. "So this is Earth," he said, mandibles clicking with barely concealed disdain. "It looks even more insignificant up close." Chief Strategist Vela moved to stand beside him. Her slender form, characteristic of the Selenian species, seemed to float rather than walk across the polished deck. "Do not let appearances deceive you, Admiral. Our intelligence suggests they've been developing new technologies at an alarming rate." Zorax waved a dismissive hand. "Technologies. These humans only achieved faster than light travel 80 years ago. The consortium has been traversing the stars for millennia. What could they possibly develop that would concern us?" Vela's luminescent eyes narrowed. "Reports indicate they've been testing prototype ships with capabilities beyond anything we've seen. Energy signatures unlike any known propulsion system." "Rumors and exaggerations," Zorax scoffed. "Probably leaked by the humans themselves to make us nervous. A species barely out of its planetary cradle trying to intimidate the consortium. It's laughable." The Admiral turned to his subordinate, a towering Drakari warrior named Krell. "What do our scans show?" Krell's voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Their orbital defenses are minimal. Mostly antiquated satellite weaponry and a handful of conventional warships. Nothing that could withstand even a small fraction of our fleet. And these so-called prototype ships. We've detected unusual energy readings from a facility on their moon, but no evidence of any vessels that could pose a threat to us." Zorax nodded, satisfied. "As I suspected. The Council is being overly cautious. These humans need to be reminded of their place in the galactic hierarchy." He turned back to the viewport, his reflection superimposed over the distant Earth. "Send a communication to their leaders. Inform them that the consortium requires additional resource tributes. Double the current quotas." "Admiral," Vela cautioned, "the humans have been increasingly resistant to our demands. They've filed formal protests with the Galactic Council. All the more reason to make an example of them." Zorax replied. "If they refuse, we'll destroy one of their orbital stations. Nothing vital, just enough to demonstrate our seriousness." In the underground command center beneath Geneva, the atmosphere was tense as the consortium's message played on the central screen. Director Elena Chen watched the alien admiral's threats with a calm that belied the gravity of the situation. When the transmission ended, she turned to the assembled leaders of Earth's defense coalition. "Well," she said simply, "it seems the consortium has made their position clear." General Marcus Singh, commander of Earth's Space Force, shook his head in disgust. "They still think we're just a colony world they can bully into submission." "Good," Chen replied, surprising several people around the table. "Their arrogance works in our favor. How is the Phoenix?" Dr. Kavita Patel, head of the prototype division, touched her tablet, bringing up a holographic display of a ship unlike any in Earth's known fleet. Its design was elegant yet alien, with curves and angles that seemed to defy conventional engineering. "The Phoenix completed its final test run yesterday," Dr. Patel reported. "The quantum displacement drive performed beyond our expectations. The adaptive shield matrix successfully repelled everything we threw at it. And the graviton lance." She paused, a hint of pride crossing her normally stoic features. "Let's just say it exceeded projections by 327%. Chen nodded. "And the pilot?" The door to the command center opened, and a woman in her early 30s entered. Commander Area Hayes moved with the confidence of someone who had passed through fire and emerged stronger. A faint scar traced her jawline, a reminder of Earth's first disastrous contact with the consortium 5 years ago. "Ready and eager to show the consortium what humanity is capable of," Hayes said, her voice carrying across the room. General Singh looked concerned. "Director, the Phoenix is our only completed prototype. If anything goes wrong—" "Nothing will go wrong," Hayes interrupted. I've logged more hours with this ship than anyone. It's not just a vessel. It's an extension of human ingenuity and determination. Chen studied Hayes for a moment before turning back to the room. The consortium has given us 24 hours to respond to their demands. They expect submission. Instead, they'll receive a demonstration. Are we really ready for this? Asked the representative from the African Union. Once we reveal the Phoenix, there's no going back. The consortium will know what we're capable of. They've left us no choice, Chen replied. For too long, they've treated Earth as a backwater planet, useful only for resources and as a strategic position in this sector. They've exploited our people, restricted our expansion, and dismissed our potential. She looked around the table. Today, that changes. In orbit around Jupiter, hidden within the radiation belts that provided natural cover from consortium sensors, the Phoenix awaited its moment. The ship was surprisingly small compared to the massive consortium cruisers, barely 100 meters long, with a sleek obsidian hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Inside the cockpit, Commander Hayes completed her pre-launch checks. The neural interface, another innovation the consortium knew nothing about, hummed as it synchronized with her consciousness. Phoenix to control. All systems are green, she reported. Ready for deployment on your mark. Confirmed, Phoenix. Director Chen's voice replied through the comm. Consortium fleet has rejected our response and is moving into position around our lunar colony. They're preparing to target the Copernicus research station as their demonstration. Hayes felt her jaw tighten. Over 2,000 civilians worked at Copernicus, including families with children. Time to show them our demonstration instead. Proceed according to plan, Commander. Good hunting. Hayes took a deep breath as the countdown began in her mind, projected through the neural link. The quantum displacement drive began to hum, building to a pitch that would have been inaudible to any species but humans. Phoenix launching in 3, 2, 1. The ship didn't so much accelerate as cease to exist in one location and appear in another. The sensation was unlike anything conventional space travel produced. A momentary stretching of consciousness, then sudden clarity. Where Jupiter had filled the view screen a moment before, now Earth and its moon hung against the blackness of space, and between them, the imposing silhouette of the consortium fleet. 20 warships arranged in the classic pincer formation used for orbital bombardment. Control, I have visual on the consortium fleet, Hayes reported. They haven't detected me yet. Understood, Phoenix. You are cleared to engage. Hayes allowed herself a small smile. Time to introduce ourselves properly. Admiral Zorax watched with satisfaction as his fleet moved into position around Earth's moon. The humans' response to his demands had been predictably defiant, full of high-minded rhetoric about sovereignty and rights. Such concepts were luxuries afforded to powers that could defend themselves, not upstart species barely finding their footing among the stars. Target the Copernicus station, he ordered. Minimal yield. Precision strike. We want to frighten them, not provoke the Council unnecessarily. Targeting systems locked. Admiral, Krell confirmed. Weapons charge, awaiting your command. Vila, who had been studying the data readout, suddenly stiffened. Admiral, we're detecting an energy signature. I've never seen anything like this. Source, Zorax demanded. I can't pinpoint it. It's as if it's everywhere and nowhere at once. Zorax was about to dismiss her concerns when a small object materialized directly in front of the Dominion. A ship of unfamiliar design, so close that it filled the viewport. What is that? He hissed. How did it get past our detection grid? Before anyone could respond, a voice came through on all consortium communication channels, speaking in perfect galactic standard. Attention consortium fleet. This is Commander Area Hayes of Earth Defense Forces. You are in violation of sovereign Earth space and preparing to commit an act of war against civilians. Power down your weapon systems immediately and withdraw. Zorax stared at the small ship in disbelief, then burst into laughter. One ship. The humans send one ship to challenge the might of the consortium. He gestured to his communications officer. Open a channel. When the connection was established, he spoke with deliberate condescension. Human vessel, this is Admiral Zorax of the Galactic Consortium. Your bravery is noted, but misplaced. Return to your planet and inform your leaders that for this insolence, we will now destroy 2 of your stations instead of 1. There was a pause before the human responded. Admiral, I'm detecting targeting locks from multiple vessels in your fleet. I strongly advise you to reconsider. You are in no position to advise anything. Zorax snarled. This is your final warning. No, Admiral, the human voice replied, suddenly cold. This is yours. Zorax cut the communication and turned to Krell. Destroy that insect. With pleasure, Admiral, the weapons officer replied, activating the Dominion's main particle cannon. The beam lanced out toward the Phoenix, only to bend around it as if deflected by an invisible field, continuing into space harmlessly. Impossible, Krell whispered. All ships, open fire, Zorax commanded, his composure finally breaking. The space around the Phoenix lit up as energy weapons from 20 consortium warships converged on the small Earth vessel. For a moment, the ship disappeared entirely within the blinding light of the barrage. When the fusillade ended and the light faded, the Phoenix remained, completely unarmed. Zorax stared in shock. What is this? How? Before he could finish, the Phoenix began to move, not with the lumbering acceleration of conventional drives, but with impossible speed and grace, as if the normal laws of physics simply didn't apply. It vanished, reappearing beside one of the consortium's heavy cruisers. A pulse of energy, unlike any weapon the consortium had encountered, lanced out from the Earth ship. The cruiser's shields, designed to withstand the most powerful weapons in the known galaxy, collapsed instantly. A second pulse struck the now defenseless vessel, and the massive warship simply disintegrated, its molecular bonds seemingly severed all at once. The bridge of the Dominion fell silent as the cruiser, a ship that had survived battles across 3 galaxies, dissolved into a cloud of particles. By the eternal void, Vela whispered, what have the humans created? Humanity's reckoning. The destruction of the consortium cruiser hung in space like a ghostly shroud, a dissipating cloud where a mighty warship had been moments before. On the bridge of the Dominion, Admiral Zorax stood frozen, his mind struggling to process what his eyes had witnessed. All vessels, maximum firepower, he finally roared. Surround that ship. Nothing can withstand concentrated fire from the entire fleet. The remaining 19 consortium warships maneuvered frantically, trying to encircle the Phoenix. But the Earth vessel moved with impossible speed and precision, its quantum displacement drive allowing it to appear and disappear faster than the consortium targeting systems could track. Inside the Phoenix, Commander Hayes worked in perfect synchronization with her ship through the neural interface. Information flowed directly into her consciousness. Enemy positions, weapon status, shield integrity, all processed with inhuman speed. The Phoenix wasn't just a vessel. It was the culmination of 2 decades of secret development, incorporating technology reverse-engineered from multiple alien sources and humanity's unique innovations. Control, this is Phoenix, Hayes reported calmly as she evaded another barrage. Phase 1 complete. The consortium now understands we're not defenseless, requesting permission for Phase 2. Director Chen's voice came through clearly. Granted, Commander. Show them the full capabilities of the Phoenix. Hayes allowed herself a grim smile. Understood. Initiating graviton cascade sequence. The Phoenix suddenly stopped its evasive pattern and hung motionless in space. Around it, a subtle distortion began to form, as if the fabric of reality itself was being manipulated. On the Dominion, alarms began to sound. Admiral, the sensor officer cried out. Gravitational anomalies forming throughout the fleet. Our ships are being pulled out of formation. Zorax watched in horror as his perfectly arranged fleet began to drift, irresistibly drawn toward the small human vessel. Counter with stabilizers. Full reverse thrust. It's not working, Krell reported, genuine fear in his voice for the first time. The gravitational force is increasing exponentially. Our engines can't compensate. 3 consortium destroyers, caught in the strongest part of the gravitational field, began to crumple like paper toys, their reinforced hulls buckling under forces they were never designed to withstand. Their death cries. The emergency distress signals automatically broadcast as they disintegrated, filled all communication channels. Retreat. Zorax finally ordered, his pride shattered. All ships, emergency jump to fallback coordinates. But it was too late. The gravitational cascade had disrupted the delicate mechanisms of their faster-than-light drives. The consortium fleet was trapped. One by one, the mighty warships of the galaxy's dominant power succumbed to the impossible weapon wielded by the supposedly primitive humans. Some imploded under the gravitational stresses. Others were torn apart as conflicting forces pulled them in multiple directions simultaneously. The Dominion, flagship of the consortium, was the last to go. On its bridge, Admiral Zorax stood with quiet dignity in his final moments. "You were right," he said to Vela as the bulkheads around them began to twist and groan. "We underestimated them." The Selenian nodded, her luminescent eyes fixed on the view screen where the Phoenix hovered, untouched by the destruction it had unleashed. "Not just them," she said softly. "We underestimated what desperation and ingenuity can accomplish together." The Dominion's structural integrity field failed a moment later, and the pride of the consortium fleet joined its brethren in oblivion. In the aftermath, the Phoenix glided silently through the debris field that had once been 20 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. Commander Hayes closed her eyes briefly, feeling the weight of what had just occurred. Thousands of alien lives had been extinguished by her hand. Necessary, yes. The consortium had left Earth no choice, but the responsibility was still hers to bear. "Phoenix to control," she reported. "Threat neutralized. All consortium vessels have been destroyed." There was a long pause before Director Chen responded. "Confirmed. Phoenix. Sensors show no surviving consortium ships in the Earth-Moon system." Another pause. "You've done what was necessary, Commander. Return to base." Hayes guided the Phoenix away from the debris field, setting course for the hidden facility beneath the lunar surface, where Earth's fleet of prototype vessels was nearing completion. The Phoenix had been the first, but it wouldn't be the last. Within 6 months, humanity would have a dozen ships with similar capabilities, just in time for the consortium's inevitable response. The news spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. 20 consortium warships, including the flagship Dominion, destroyed by a single Earth vessel. The impossible had happened. A nascent spacefaring species had humbled the greatest power in known space. In the Great Council Chamber on Nexus Prime, representatives from 1,000 worlds gathered in emergency session. The mood was one of shock, disbelief, and from the many species that had suffered under consortium domination, poorly disguised satisfaction. High Counselor Thalos, a being of pure energy contained within an ornic mechanical body, addressed the assembly. For 10,000 years, the Galactic Consortium has maintained what they called order across this sector. Today, we have witnessed the end of that era. The counselor's voice resonated through the chamber. The humans of Earth, long dismissed as primitives unworthy of full council membership, have demonstrated technology that upends our understanding of what is possible. Murmurs spread through the chamber. A representative from one of the consortium's allied worlds stood. "High Counselor, surely this attack demands response. The humans have committed an act of war against the consortium. After the consortium threatened civilian targets and refused to withdraw when warned," countered another representative, this one from a world that had long chafed under consortium rule. "By our own laws, the humans acted in self-defense." The debate raged for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. The balance of power had shifted irrevocably. Whatever technology the humans had developed, it had rendered the consortium's military superiority obsolete overnight. 3 days after the battle, Director Chen and Commander Hayes stood in the Oval Office of the White House, facing the President of the United Earth Coalition. "The consortium has withdrawn all forces from our system," the President informed them. "Furthermore, the Galactic Council has granted Earth full membership status and recognized our sovereignty over the entire Sol system." "They fear us now," Hayes observed, her voice neutral. "They respect us," Chen corrected. Fear and respect often look similar in galactic politics, but there's a crucial difference. Fear leads to hatred and eventually retaliation. Respect can lead to cooperation. The President nodded, which is why our next steps are critical. The Phoenix and its sister ships give us the ability to defend ourselves, but they also give us leverage to negotiate a more equitable relationship with the galactic community. "And if negotiation fails?" Hayes asked. "Then we demonstrate that the destruction of the consortium fleet wasn't a fluke," the President replied grimly. "But I hope it doesn't come to that. Humanity didn't reach the stars to continue the cycle of violence that nearly destroyed us on Earth." Hayes looked out the window at the Washington Monument, gleaming in the morning sun. "Yet we built the Phoenix as a weapon." "We built it as a shield," Chen countered. "A deterrent. The fact that we had to use it once doesn't mean we must use it again." The President rose from behind the desk. "Both of you have served humanity with distinction. The Phoenix Project has secured our place among the stars. But now we face a different challenge, proving that we deserve that place not just through strength, but through wisdom." Hayes nodded slowly. "The consortium underestimated us because they couldn't imagine that a young species could match their technological achievements. We shouldn't make the same mistake of underestimating the power of diplomacy just because we now have the stronger hand." "Exactly," the President agreed. "Tomorrow, I address the world and announce our new status in the galactic community. The day after, we welcome representatives from the Galactic Council to begin formal diplomatic relations." The President smiled. "And Commander Hayes, they've specifically requested to meet the pilot of the Phoenix." Hayes raised an eyebrow. "Me? Why?" "Because you're the face of humanity's emergence as a power to be reckoned with," Chen explained. "The woman who single-handedly defeated the consortium fleet." Hayes frowned. "I just piloted the ship. It was the work of thousands of scientists and engineers that made it possible." "That's exactly why you're the perfect representative," the President said. "You understand that our strength comes not from individual heroics, but from our collective ingenuity and determination." As they left the Oval Office, Hayes and Chen paused in the Rose Garden. Above them, barely visible in the blue sky, a new constellation of lights had appeared. The Galactic Council's observation vessels, maintaining a respectful distance from Earth. "Everything changes now," Hayes said quietly. Chen nodded. "Humanity has stepped onto the galactic stage. We've proven we can defend ourselves." She turned to face the commander. "Now we need to prove we can be more than just warriors." Hayes looked up at the distant ships, thinking of the Phoenix waiting in its lunar hangar and the fleet of sister ships nearing completion. Weapons of unprecedented power, created by human hands. "We will," she said with quiet confidence. "The consortium thought they knew humanity based on our brief history among the stars. They never bothered to study our longer history on Earth, how we've survived, adapted, evolved." She smiled slightly. "We've always been at our best when underestimated." Above them, as if in answer, one of the council ships caught the sunlight and flared briefly like a new star, a beacon of the new era that was dawning for humanity and the galaxy alike.